You know, for my Dear Jeb series and all, I do a lot of research about game design and things like that, and I discover more and more how fundamentally broken some of my modules are. One of those things are the spirit gems because of the redundancy and complexity that they have. No one really uses them, let's be honest. Who here in their Tempest world has actually used and put these to use? Probably not that many. It's super complicated as well. I mean, you craft your spirit gem, you get a random stat. Firstly, the numbers are so extreme that most of the time the debuffs outweigh the buffs. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, okay, we can throw this for free and get a spirit. And we don't actually know what it has until we throw it down, get a spirit staff, right click, and then we can figure out what it has. So this one gives fire resistance to the player. Here's another problem. This is completely ruining fire resistance potions. Now that I have this, why would I ever want to craft that ever again? It's an issue. And once you get a really good spirit gem, why would you want to craft another spirit gem ever again? Furthermore, you can stack lots of things and you can potentially ruin this. So the effects aren't really that apparent. The texture doesn't change. Everything is poorly telegraphed. There's a lot of inconsistencies. Okay, so this gives fire to mobs. It's too complicated. I think the idea of having trillions and trillions of combinations like an enchanting, I think that is the thing that really brought my attention and the reason why I made the module in the first place. But I think it's time to be a little bit mature with my implementation. So what I'm going to do is, yes, you can still put it in your offhand and everything and it still works as fine, but I'm going to tweak the numbers so it's a lot more beneficial than just simply using a shield or something. And I'm also going to make it so when you put this in your offhand, it triggers some abilities, or you can put up to 3 spirit gems in your inventory slots right here. I'm going to retexture them and it will give you abilities. Now these abilities are going to be unique. So let's go into my official TTB world and we'll take a look at some of the things we can do. Okay, so I have actually already brainstormed some ideas for my spirit gems, and this is going to be the new spirit infuser. So the way it works is, as usual, you can still craft your spirit gems like so. I just need to tweak the numbers later on. That was instant. Yeah, that was a new feature that I added. I reduced lag in the custom crafting table and it's now instant, so that's cool. Now we got a small weakened healing gem, which is still a bit of a mouthful. I'm just going to rename it to healing gem, strength gem, whatever. I'm not going to bother with small weakened healing gem. Alright, that's just ridiculous. I'm just going to call it a healing gem and be done with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make it so you can throw it in and the gem will align itself and it's going to be remodeled and everything so it actually looks cool rather than, you know, just a ring of polygons. Anyway, some of the abilities that I thought, oh by the way, I don't want to put them up here anymore. I want to put them here so they're present and you know exactly what effects are active. So, what's going to happen? Well, the wood ones are things that you might want, but might not want, could be bad. And the diamond blocks are things that you probably always want. I just recorded a clip of me explaining what all these effects do. I think I should just make them throughout the episode and then tell you afterwards, might be better. But in the meantime, it's time for us to retexture these spirit gems because they're not flattering at the moment. So what is this? Well, I thought that 2D models would have been a little bit more fitting than the 3D models, and I'm going to change the gems into relics now. Why? Because I think the shape of gems is just oh, that's a shuriken. Look, gems, it's way too restrictive. There's not many shapes that you can have. So I've decided to go with having everything be in a glass cabinet. So you can see I've got a very simple texture here, which we are going to change. I've got everything in 32 by 32, but you'll see why in a moment. It's so I can do things like this. So I will grab those, invert my selection there. Oh, whoops, invert it again, and delete all that. And as you can see, we have a frame here, which I'm not entirely pleased with, but that's okay. We can adjust that. Give it a little bit more red, like that, just so it suits the gold crafting recipe just a little bit more. The background is going to be the anvil texture like that, and I'm just going to remove these sides over here. Whoops, that's the fill tool. Take these out. Alright, now we have a little bit more of a something going on here. I think that is a little bit too dark though. You know what, I'm going to try the planks texture in a sec, but first I'm going to import the glass texture. You can kind of see where I'm going with these 2x2, 32x32 textures. It's so I can do stuff like this. There we go. So it's still going to fit into the vanilla theme just a bit. I'm going to resize this to 16 by 16 and hopefully the look will sort itself out just a bit. I'm going to put that layer in front. So it's a little bit blurry at the moment. I hope that fixes itself when I resize it back to 16 by 16. Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, let's try the planks in the background. Here are the choices. Anvil in the back, dark oak planks in the back, spruce planks in the back. I'm thinking the anvil, and the reason is because when I want to put a texture in front of this, it will be a little bit more clear. Speaking of clarity, I'm just going to bring this down just a bit. I think that might be a bit much though. It still needs to look like it's in front. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to maybe feather it. We'll see what that does. Here's my feather tool. Oh, that's disgusting. Despicable. Oh, actually, if I do this like that, so it seems like the glass is a bit foggy, and then draw a texture in the back, what would that look like? It's not so bad, is it? I think it's livable. Let's just test something. I'll just draw a smiley face or something like that. We'll see how we go once we actually start texturing. I'm going to save this as a PDN so we can change it later, but for now I'm going to save this as an empty spirit gem. And for the healing gem, of course, I'm going to put a heart inside. I tweaked more than a few things. First of all, the texture ended up being put on a 3D model, but a very, very simple 3D model. The other change I made is if you have one of these canisters now, they're not gems anymore, they are now canisters. If you put them in your offhand, it won't be visible, but you will be able to see it right here. So the attributes will only be active once the item is in your offhand, and it's very unobtrusive, so that's why I've made it so you can't see it, except in the GUI there. I've also renamed them all. I'm just calling them healing canisters, strength canisters, and speed canisters. So why have I just gone with the simple names, even though I haven't really changed anything other than the numbers? Well, cognitive ease. The easier something is for a player to understand, the more likely they are to use it. I actually have not reduced the complexity or the depth of this at all. I've simply made it more absorbable to the player. So this one's strong, and you can just see that just by looking at the numbers. This one's fairly weak, and this one's kind of in the middle. Also notice how I have buffed all the positives, and I have nerfed all the debuffs. So there is actually a reason now to actually use these. So if I get this, I get negative 4.77 attack damage, but the speed I would say is most definitely worth it. Does it replace speed, strength, and healing potions? Maybe. We'll find out. If that's the case, then I will just have to do a general nerf on some of these things. So let's try the weakest speed gem. Not so bad, but remember that you can also use potions on top of these as well. So we'll see how we go anyway. So I have been busy getting some of the spirit gems to work, and I finally have a good prototype. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a golden hoe, which has a tag of campfire ring and spirit. So I will give myself that, and as you can see, we get this nice little firing texture. If anyone would like to suggest alternative textures that I can use, then please let me know, or ways to improve the model somehow. I mean, I like the idea of having a canister, but anyway, what you can do is you can put it in your offhand, and you won't be able to see it in your offhand except in the GUI there, or the HUD. And what you can see is an armor stand, which I'm going to put a model on, is circling around me, and we get this nice little spiraling effect. There we go. So it burns mobs, so if I have an ant here, then you will see that as it goes by, it sets the ant on fire. Now this actually doesn't have to be in the offhand, it can be in any of these 3 slots here. And I gotta make that really, really clear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to retexture what the survival inventory looks like to make it really obvious that if you put stuff in these slots, then it will do stuff. Well, this is the survival inventory, and I am interested in these 3 spaces here. So I'm going to cut them out and create a new layer. And the very first thing I want to do is just darken them just a bit, and we'll just see how that looks. See, just very, very subtle texture there. And the other thing that I want to do is add some kind of a drop shadow here, and we'll see how we can make this look okay. So firstly, reduce the blur, reduce the widening quite a bit, and okay, we'll just have a tiny bit of blur there. See, that's a little bit too much. I still think there's too much widening. Maybe reduce the opacity on that. It's very difficult to get the look that I'm going for. Okay, I'll just have no blur and just give it all widening so it looks like that, and we'll just change the color, tweak it a bit, give it some, maybe a little bit of opacity here. Very hard to get something that looks decent, I think, using the technique that I've got. I'll just darken this just a little bit. See, that's a little too much now. Maybe vibrant. So I'll just have to keep fiddling around with this until I get something that looks okay. Maybe increase the, no, too much widening, I think. Needs a little bit more blur. Or maybe no blur at all. We'll see what it looks like. So that's without blur. That's with blur. I can't make the widening radius too big either, otherwise it will start crossing into this slot here. So I think 2 is a reasonable number. And I'll just save that. Let me know what you guys think about this. And the other thing is I need to give this slot that exact same treatment. So I'll paste that in here. And we will do that. Okay, so it seems a little bit out of place, but seeing as though these slots are functional, it might be acceptable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to save that texture. Thank you. And now let's see what it looks like in game. I don't know, guys, I feel like it's subtle enough for me to get away with. I think it's a decent indicator of what's going on here. Where's my E button? There it is. Okay, so slots only work when they're in either of these 4 slots, and there we go. It's time for me to work on a few more things. I'll create a model for these afterwards. For now, I just want to focus on the behavior, and then of course I need to get into ways of crafting these gems using the Spirit Infuser, and that is going to be a challenge, but we'll see how we go. Alright, we're back here, but not for very long. I'm just going to show you guys what it's like to add things to the game. So if I want to add a breaking thing, then all I have to do is just simply execute from whatever has the EN break tag or whatever, and then I can just go set block, blah blah blah, air 0 destroy, done. That's it. All I really need to do now is just give it some kind of particle. So what I'm going to do is just going to give it icon crack. And how does that look in game? We will find out once I can get there. Looks interesting. A couple hours have gone by. It's actually the next day now because I'm actually standing up. I've got a complete rearrangement of furniture in my office now, so that's great, but it's a complete mess. Actually, you know what, I might just show you. You guys must be getting ready to see some really high quality camera quality. Okay, so basically this is my office now. I've completely changed everything. The monitor is eye level with where I stand, so the chair is actually being used as a microphone stand. Oh, this camera is absolutely horrible. So my chair is actually holding up this vacuum cleaner pipe here, and then I've got my microphone in there, so I can actually stand there. Before I had to do this on my knee. I'm using my guitar case to lift up my keyboard, which is on top of my desk. Oh, I've got Skype going off, I've got my guitar racks, and a complete mess in here. But anyway, now you guys know what goes on behind the camera. Now with that out of the way, I'd like to show you guys all my bad textures. Okay, so the first one we have is levitation. It's just a feather with a little bit of purple on it. As you can see, it says spirit canister 9% depleted now. Curiously, it's kind of similar to how my staffs work. And yes, you are correct. This is exactly how my staffs work. So, of course, you can recharge these with dark relics and bright relics in the future once I can make this compatible with these staffs. And yeah, I think it's just convenient to have these always active. So if I wanted to, I could maybe put my flame thing here. Still need to give these things a texture, but I have changed the animation quite a lot, and I'm much more happy with it. I actually feel like a genuine firebender now, and it looks really cool. Okay, so we'll put that away. Let's show you the block breaking ability. This looks pretty cool as well. Now you'll notice that it only breaks 1 block below it. So why only 1? Well, it's still useful in mining, but it doesn't entirely replace the extraction stuff. Also remember that this breaks the blocks, and it's much cheaper. And also you can have this in your slot here, and you won't have to take up any inventory, and it's just constantly active. The one problem is that you will have to place torches a little bit higher up for it to be entirely useful, but yeah, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. This next spirit gem is something I wish I just included in the original Tempest box, but here we are. You put it in there and it glows mobs within 20 blocks. Super simple, but very useful. Okay, let's move on to this little experience bottle thing here. What does this do? Well, if I could just grab myself a pickaxe, still trying to figure out all this 1.12 hotbar kind of stuff. Alright, so I'm also going to put in my flame thing here. That's the good thing about all of this, is that yeah, I can have it always active. I mean, it does deplete my spirits a lot faster, but I think it's really cool that I can just have these active all the time. But anyway, I'm going to swap these here because it will still work. I'm going to mine, and you'll notice that as I'm mining, my experience bar actually goes up. This is no accident. I've just made it so when you have the spirit gem equipped, so when you're mining stone, and only stone, you gain a little bit of experience from it. Yes, it is a lot of XP, but remember that the more XP you have, the harder it is to gain a level. That just blew up on me. Great. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the spirit gems so far. Haven't decided what this loot form thing is going to do yet. I don't really want to change the drop of the mobs because I feel like that can just be replaced with an enchantment. But we'll see how we go. Oh, I forgot to show you this one. This one basically chops down trees for you, but does not give you the tree because I'm going to add an axe that does that for you. Alright, you're about to see what this does. Chops down the trees for you. I'm going to change this. I'm just going to make it so it maybe cuts down the trees. I'm not entirely sure yet, but with the jungle trees it's not that great. I might just increase the y-axis or something, but the idea is that you just clear out large amounts of land very quickly, just in case you want to build a house somewhere, which is something I struggle with a lot. I have to chop down lots and lots of trees. It takes a while, so I thought, why not just make this a spirit gem? I think it's alright. We'll see how we go. I had this idea. I have to record it before I forget. So imagine this is a wrench or something magical. I'm building. Okay, now I want some circle stone. Oh yeah, awesome. Now I want some stairs. Put that there. Slabs, that can go there and there. Yeah, right on top like that. That's cool. And now I want stairs again. Might put some stairs right here. I'm going to fill that in with a cracked stone brick. Oh, that's not cracked. Oh well, I'm just going to use that now. Let's have some stairs. Bam. So I just had 6 blocks in one inventory slot thanks to this little tool that I have here. Also notice how it maintains how many you have, so 43, 43, no matter what. The one problem that I'm having here is that you can do this and it just jumps to the first slot. I'm pretty sure that will be okay with most builders though. We'll see how we go. I keep saying that. Now stop. I'm updating TTB to 1.12, so these blocks are now going to be pretty important. Now I'm going to try and use these instructions wherever I can, just to show that, hey, this is 1.12, this is new potential stuff that we can be using, and it's great. I was going to make a Dear Jeb about this, but seeing as though Jeb has stated that he's planning on changing the theme of all the Minecraft textures, then I'm just going to hold off on that episode for a while, because my opinion probably won't affect his decision because it's probably wrong. So I'm just looking around here and there's a lot of cool patterns you can make with these. I've been experimenting with some of them. It's very hard to make these fit with the rest of the blocks, but they're very nice highlighting blocks here. So I've made this little courtyard concept over here and they look pretty cool. It's just very jarring when you see this blended with that and maybe this blended with this. I mean, the cobblestone looks okay with it. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I think about these blocks yet. I don't really have an opinion. I'm not an expert builder, but I'm led to believe that the more blocks, the better. But at the same time, it can be a little bit too overwhelming and raises the difficulty of building in the game. But anyway, I'm not gonna make any of my opinions here official because I'm changing my mind back and forth about these blocks. Oh, but this, oh, but this, oh, but this. Yeah, not entirely sure, but I do want to use them in TTB. But yes, before the next version of TTB gets released, I need to build some desert structures, and I think some of these, especially the orange and yellow ones, will fit quite well in the desert. I'm gonna leave it there. I think you guys get the idea. I'm gonna do the rest of the spirit gems off camera. Feel free to suggest ideas for spirits, but under one condition, the spirits cannot be replaced by a staff. So I was gonna have a saturation spirit, decided not to because that's already done by the saturation staff. Anyway, I'd like to thank my patrons: Peter, Darc, Mr. DemonN, PaperBoat, Zach, ArminUnstoppable, Kyle, Patrick, Crazy Pets 321. Whoa, a new one! I didn't see you there. Spectrum's Ascent. How come Patreon didn't notify me of you? That's cool. DustyBunny, Corp, mblohr, and special thanks to Data Crusader. Thanks everyone for watching. I will see you later.